The new Street Fighter 6 game is close to arriving next year. So far, the game has been more than we expected it to be. As the Capcom team left again to work on the details of the game, we would like for them to consider a few characters that would be great if they never came back. Who would these characters be, and why? Without further ado, let me welcome you to the Street Fighterverse. Even though Street Fighter is known to have many great characters in their roster since the beginning of its franchise, we need to recognize that there are a few that have not been that great. We would like to give Capcom a couple of ideas of who shouldn't come back. Let's start with the first in our list, Necalli. Capcom brought Necalli as one of the most sought out villains in Street Fighter. Necalli seemed to be attracted to powerful fighters, and his primary objective was to devour their souls, either for sustenance or to appease his gods due to being their emissary. None of that happened, because while trying to have Ryu's soul, Ryu just dominated him with ease, leaving Necalli totally destroyed. We think there's little chance of Necalli returning, unless Capcom wants to give him some sort of redemption story in the future. Despite his popularity and success in the first couple years of Street Fighter V, nerfs and changes eventually pushed him into the sidelines, where he now sits as one of the least played characters in the game. Even pro players have used him and have had amazing wins with him. Even though Birdie is a legend, it's unlikely you'll find anyone who likes fighting against Birdie, despite his dominance throughout Street Fighter V's competitive history. In the current story, Birdie doesn't really contribute much either, largely serving as comic relief or someone who other characters can consistently poke fun of. Birdie is sitting on the 87th place in the Street Fighter popularity poll, which is kind of sad regarding how nice Birdie was in the Alpha series. A character that I would not like for them to bring back is from the Street Fighter IV lineup of fighters. Even though for some people he might be a fun character, for us he just doesn't bring in anything to the storyline. The American kung fu fighter and self-professed rival to Ken Masters, Rufus. The American version of Dan doesn't really bring anything to the table. His style of fighting is only pure comical relief, and his story doesn't have anything tied to the normal story of Street Fighter. It is said that the final concept art of Rufus seemed to be inspired by Chris Farley's design in Beverly Hills Ninja and Bruce Lee's yellow jumpsuit from the Game of Death. Another character that is on our list comes from the Street Fighter Alpha series and is very dear to us because of his importance in the Street Fighter series. He is the guy that made Guile who he is, Charlie Nash. As Charlie Nash has died and resurrected in the Street Fighter's ongoing storyline, it seems that he's reached his end this time. His plot for revenge and his ultimate sacrifice to help put down Bison once and for all seems like it's the end of his story for now. We personally think that there's nothing more for him to do at this point. Charlie Nash will always be one hell of a character, but it's time to pay our respects and let him rest in peace. Most of us know by now that the new Street Fighter 6 game is going to be based in Metro City, home of great potential characters like Mike Hager or Cody. While yes, they may have a group of great characters that are amazing, they certainly have one that in our opinion lacks that wow factor for Street Fighter 6. He is big, tall, and drives a make-believe car, Abigail. I guess he did fairly well in his first Street Fighter appearance, but his body size would take all the screen in the new game. His moves are slow, and he throws tires around. We don't think he would look aesthetically pleasing for Street Fighter 6, and I know it might sound weird since the new trailer literally passes through Abigail's shop. Could this be a glimpse or maybe a small hint that Abigail's character could be added in future Street Fighter 6 DLC? Our last character from the Street Fighter universe that we would not like to see in the new Street Fighter 6 series would be El Fuerte. His character and gameplay might be good, but we think he has nothing to contribute to further the development of the series. If we were to choose between which is the best Mexican Street Fighter character, we would definitely pick T-Hawk. The new Mexican character in the Street Fighter 6 game looks like she has a background with T-Hawk or his tribe. A lot of people in the internet would like Dan to go, but for us, there is no way we would like him to go. We're all up for Dan in Street Fighter 6. This would be the characters that shouldn't be in the Street Fighter 6 game. Based on diverse reasons, we find that they wouldn't be necessary. We would like to share that we hate none of these characters. We just feel that we could have something better. I love for a fact that the Street Fighter 6 game is going to be based in Metro City. What better way to introduce some characters that are from the Metro City turf? Even though there hasn't been a Final Fight released in years, we can say that there have been characters like Cody and Poison that have made the move to the Street Fighter games. Yet we still haven't had the chance for a character like Mike Hager to make an appearance. And yes, you might say that he has had some appearances in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. He also made an appearance on a very great game, Saturday Night Slam Masters. Oddly enough, a character like Hager has never been in a legit Street Fighter title. I wonder if the statue of Hager in Metro City could be a small hint of what's to come. This character comes from the Street Fighter 3 generation of fighters, and it could be an awesome response to Ed's style of fighting for us. Since Street Fighter 6 looks very sophisticated, what better way to bring to the game a very sophisticated fighter like Dudley? The boxing prowess of this character is considered one of the best in the Street Fighter series. This form of fighting is an awesome way to have more characters that are not only defined by kicks and punches. It would be very interesting to see what a non-kicking character like Dudley could mix up in Street Fighter 6. Don't get us wrong, we would also love to see Balrog in Street Fighter 6, but if we had to choose which one should stay, we would gladly pick the Englishman. Another great character from the Street Fighter 3 generation of fighters that would be amazing for its presence in the Street Fighter 6 game would be Shan Matsuda. For us, this is more on how its story would unfold, rather than his style of fighting. I would love to see how he would interfere with Ken's new story in Street Fighter 6. As some of you might know, Ken in Street Fighter 6 is not having the best time of his life. He has lost his kids, got into a divorce, and just has been handed a rough card in this time. It would be cool to see if Sean could help Ken bounce back and find his way again, just like Ken did for Ryu. When Ryu was going through a rough time, Ken gave him his red bandana and cheered him up while he was at his lowest. Sean could be the next motivational soul that Ken Masters might need. The Street Fighter X series had awesome characters as well as other Street Fighter games, even though it wasn't as successful as the main games. One of the characters I love from this series is the infamous Garuda. Even though Garuda's personality is not well defined, he seems to be fairly bloodthirsty, seeking out opponents who utilize destructive forces such as Psycho Power and the Satsui no Hado. Garuda is said to be composed of negative emotions and dark energy, and holds a considerable amount of strength. It would be an interesting story to see this character match up against Takuma in a battle. Going back to Metro City, another interesting character from the Final Fight roster that we consider would be a good fit for the Street Fighter 6 game is Guy. It is said that Kimberly, one of the new characters from the leaked Street Fighter 6 roster, has a resemblance to Guy's style of fighting. She could be one of his pupils on the Bushin Ryu style of fighting. Also, I would love to see Guy go against Ryu in Street Fighter 6. It would be an interesting matchup in this title. There aren't many Street Fighter characters that use weapons in the franchise. One character that might seem to be forgotten could also be a good add-on to the Street Fighter 6 roster. He is one of the first two characters to have a weapon in the first Street Fighter, along with Eagle. Geki would be a great choice for the game if you think about it. Going by the possibility that Geki was the one who trained, or at the very least inspired, Vega in the art of ninjutsu, and that Vega also wears the same type of claw weapon as Geki's. I think it's fair to say it would be a great homage to the first Street Fighter game. Additionally, Geki's concept and playstyle seems to have been passed down to Vega and Ibuki in separate ways, which is likely the reason he never became playable. Even though the Street Fighter V website implies that he has been killed during his activities in Asia, I think it's fair to say that Capcom should really give Geki the chance to shine in Street Fighter 6. Do a Bison revival of some sorts on this guy. One thing we don't see much in a legit Street Fighter title is the presence of guest characters in their roster. For us, characters from Tekken or the Dead or Alive series could be incorporated into the Street Fighter 6, since this title has very much or close similarity in graphics to both franchises. From Tekken, we find that either Heihachi Mishima, Kazuya Mishima could be ideal characters for this crossover. From Dead or Alive, we could have Jan Lee, since they eliminated the possibility of a Fei Long appearance in Street Fighter 6. And also, Lei Fang could also be a good rival to Chun-Li. Well, anybody can dream, right? That for us would be the ideal characters that we would love to have in the Street Fighter 6 game. Based on diverse reasons, we find that it would be crucial, or at least cool on our part, to have them in the new Street Fighter 6 installment. What do you think about these characters? What characters would you like to see in Street Fighter 6? Let us know in the comments section down below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on new theories and info. Thank you for watching. This has been your Street Fighter host. Welcome to the center stage. our new Discord server. There you can talk with us, chat about current events going on in Street Fighter, information, theories, and lore. We'll leave the link in the description box below. We want to thank everyone for tuning in and becoming part of this Street Fighter community. We want to thank you for your positive comments towards our channel because it only habilitates us to grow even more. From the Street Fighterverse crew, we thank you.